ask, we play in the ESC common market.
Correct.
And over time, I would say we've seen some very known brands, especially from Tanzania,
Yes.
from Uganda, especially in the spirit sector,
Yes.
making a lot of entries in the country, especially whereby it's a product considered middle, sort of a product in those countries. But when it comes in here, it's able to compete with the lower, the lower kind of that.
Yes.
So what's your perspective, especially in also losing our competitiveness within East Africa, and especially knowing that so long as you're within East Africa, you can access the Kenyan market?
Yes.
How is that also affecting you as manufacturers, and also, also playing a part in this discussion we're talking about?
Correct. I think for us as manufacturers, first, we promote free trade.
Yes.
We promote free movement of our people within East Africa, because even us would want to ship our goods there.
Yes.
But again, you'll find that because of the high unpredictable tax policy environment, you'd find scenarios whereby the tax policy scares manufacturing in Kenya. And scary looks, as the word feels scarce. It distorts investments, it postpones investments. And I'll give you an example. For example, in the last finance bill, and it's one of the clauses that we successfully advocated against and it didn't pass through. There was something which would have made it cheaper because we couldn't claim the excess that we pay on ethanol. So it would have made it cheaper to just manufacture in Uganda, to manufacture in Tanzania and sell it into Kenya. Because ethanol, for example, most of us source locally ethanol. This ethanol comes right from our sugarcane farmers. It's converted to molasses, then we buy, then now we process it further. So we are promoting our local agriculture industry. Now, if you have a policy or a bill that sought to say you tax ethanol, but at the point of finishing the finished product, you cannot offset what you've taxed on ethanol, then it only makes sense for somebody to manufacture in Uganda, for somebody to manufacture in Tanzania. And then the only product excess tax that will be charged is the excess tax here. Now, also the advantage from an ESC point of view is that in these other countries like Tanzania, I think they've just learned in our industry on what not to do. They watch carefully. Now, for about a period of about 5 years, there was no tax increase. While Kenya, we were increasing. There is no tax increase. So it's a very predictable environment. We also saw, and we are very happy to participate on the medium-term revenue strategy. We thought that would help us, drive predictability. But again, in the last finance bill, we found that there were clauses that were against the strategy that we had already just discussed and enforced. So what we are requesting for as manufacturers is an element of predictable excess tax regime. We also encourage the government to continue consulting with us. It has started. It's the right way.
Yes.
Because we are able to work on research, data, and the government is doing a good job for us to be able to work together. So it's more consultation, but even more so on issues of tax, it's the predictable tax environment. We would appreciate a scenario whereby somebody can predict what is the tax 3 years from now. But as it is currently, we all don't know what 1st July sounds. Now, if you are making, and some of our industry is a very capital-intensive industry. If you have an investor that you are not sure whether next year there will be a policy that might distort your entire investment, so it scares again. And I can use that scares potential investors. It reduces foreign direct investment into the country, and investors will most likely move to a country where there is predictability on the tax environment.
All right. Right. And now let me ask, ABAC and your members, are there any other measures that you're taking to fight, the illicit trade, be it in terms of how you're doing your packaging, consumer education? What are some of the things that you're trying to also do as an industry to curb the spread of illicit trade?
Yes. So the first thing that we are doing is definitely as individual members, we are trying to ensure that our packaging is not easy for us to be able for it to be replicated. And if it is replicated, you're able to know. We've also worked with the government and I'll say like Kenya Revenue Authority to ensure that in every alcohol product there is a tax stamp. So to ensure that how can this tax stamp not be easy to be replicated? And you'd find that even now, at some point if there are any issues of tax stamp, there are various versions. Like right now, I think we're in version 4 of the tax stamp. If you look, the tax stamp that we have currently is a bit blue. 3 years ago, it was a different color. So we try to innovate and work with the government to ensure that. We've also tried to, as different members, individual members, to have glass taken back scheme for the glass, because at times we've also realized some of the counterfeiters use our own glass. So we try to collect it back from the society, at times rewash, reuse, at times also maybe just crush it and use it as cullet. And then we take it to the manufacturers. The manufacturers are able to provide for us.
Okay.
And ultimately, and I think I referred to it earlier, a lot of engagement to the level of having private investigators to support us, because it's one of those menace that can sadly, not only affect us as investors in these sectors, ABAC members, but it will definitely also unfortunately affect the consumer's health.